Some breaking political news tonight, and it is big breaking political news. Just moments ago, the Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene posted on her X account the announcement she's resigning next month. Her last day, she says, January 5th.
I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026. And I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.
Back with us now, David Axelrod and Shermichael Singleton. Shermichael, to you first as the Republican in the conversation. President Trump recently said he wanted her primaried. She recently said he was wrong. She stood up to him on the Epstein files, and she won. What do we make of this?
I mean, I'm a bit surprised. I mean, Thomas Massie is also up for re-election, and he's been able to, in a very unique way, pivot despite the president's attacks. I was actually just talking to a friend who's very close to the congressman a couple days ago, and he was telling me that the congressman has actually seen his fundraising numbers increase by focusing on H-1B visas and focusing on prioritizing work for Americans. And so I would have argued, if I were advising her, hey, you might be able to get through this brief moment in time, but perhaps she thought otherwise. Maybe she's looking at future plans, but this is a big shocker, John.
Her people, David, have said she could survive, that she's been raising money and that she thinks she's safe in her district. To Shermichael's point, she did say, I'll see you again. What do we make of that?
I think that was the key. That was the key takeaway to me. I think she would have won in her district. I don't think this is her assessment of her chances in this election. I think she surveyed, first of all, what it meant to come back to a House where the president was unhappy with her. She has a bad relationship with the Speaker of the House, probably in the minority. And she decided that there might be greener pastures. Remember, John, she wanted to run statewide this year. She wanted to run for the Senate, I believe. And that was turned thumbs down by the White House and the powers that be in the party. I think that may be part of what her estrangement has been about, not questioning her sincerity on this Epstein issue. But I think she's got her eye on bigger things here. As she said, I hope to see you down the line. And I think that is a precursor, because what we know is she is formidable. She's one of the most formidable fundraisers in the Republican Party. She knows how to get attention. And she has made this transformation here that is interesting, still a MAGA person, but much broader in her reach. So, I think this is not the end of the story here. Not the end of the story.
The question is, what's the next chapter, Shermichael? Is it, does she reconsider about running statewide next year? There's a Senate race in Georgia, or we have this conversation all the time. We just saw it in the elections in Virginia and in New Jersey, where Republican candidates try to be like Trump, and forgive my language, but they get smoked because Trump is a unique phenomenon. She actually is like Trump. She actually is in touch with a lot of his base. Do you think she has national ambitions? Is she thinking, J.D. Vance, I'll see you in Iowa?
I mean, I can't imagine that, John. I don't think she would be very successful, if I'm being blunt and candid, as a Republican strategist. I do, however, beg the question, can she actually even be successful in a statewide race in Georgia? Remember, Georgia elected Kemp twice. He certainly isn't someone that I would say is in the vein of a Donald Trump, and has actually had various infighting in the state.
That's precisely. Forgive me for interrupting. Forgive me for interrupting. That's precisely the reason I say, and I know you say, I can't see her going up against J.D. Vance. But David Axelrod's in this conversation. Nobody could see Barack Obama beating Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump is president of the United States for a second time. Nobody could see him winning the Republican nomination or the White House the first time, and a lot of people said he could never win the White House again after January 6th. That is why I say we live in the age of improbable success stories.
Yeah, but John, I don't think she's a Barack Obama or even a Donald Trump. And if she's thinking about a statewide race, and I would imagine David would potentially agree with me here, what is the constituency to propel Marjorie Taylor Greene statewide? She wouldn't get Donald Trump's support, and I doubt that she would get the support of the current Governor Kemp. So then what would be that path to a Marjorie Taylor Greene success to the U.S. Senate? I just don't see it.
David, hang on with your thought. I just want to bring into the conversation. Hang on, David, just one second. I want to bring in to our conversation with some new reporting our senior White House correspondent, Kristen Holmes. Again, Kristen, this is very dramatic coming at the end of a week where Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene, once very close allies, have had a very public and very nasty breakup.
Yeah, and one of the most remarkable things about this is I have talked to a number of people who are close to Marjorie Taylor Greene who described the last several days as painful for her. I mean, you got to remember, there are a number of different kinds of Trump supporters in Washington. There are the supporters of convenience, and there are the true believers. And I do tend to think that overall, the true believers are fewer and farther between. And she was a true believer when it came to Donald Trump. And I think that part of her never thought it would get this bad with the president. And even when she was speaking out against him, I don't think she thought that he would personally attack her. And of course, as we know with President Trump, almost always loyalty is a one-way street. And she learned this the very hard way as a true believer who then essentially got excoriated by him online. And I will tell you, I was talking to people who were close to her who were telling me that she was getting threats nonstop. I know she posted about this. And then you had President Trump, even with that, saying that she was playing herself or portraying herself as a victim. It seems to me, and look, what her next role is, I think that's obviously a huge question, but I do have to agree with Michael, that there's not a clear path here. I think that her path as kind of the Donald Trump, woman version of Donald Trump, has obviously run its course. And so what she decides to do next, we'll obviously have to wait and see. But I do think it's pretty remarkable that he has now, most of the people that we've seen stand up to him and then decide that they're going to resign or retire are people who are all already kind of in the middle, people who we were surprised to see them supporting Donald Trump in full anyway. That is just not the case with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And so this is one of the first cases of somebody who was full on supported the president, and then he turned on her, and now she's leaving office.
And so, Kristen Holmes, thank you so much. David Axelrod, I want to bring you back into the conversation to follow up on those excellent points Kristen just made. Number one, she's someone who sparred with Trump who is stepping aside. But number two, she's somebody who I know a lot of people out there watching this conversation disagree vehemently with her politics. However, she has a skill set. She is a communicator. She is a fundraiser. We don't know what she's going to do next. I would say she's dangerous to the president in this regard, in that she just said he's wrong on the Epstein files and she won. She said he has been tone deaf on these affordability issues, that when she goes back home to her district in Georgia, she's hearing people are still struggling. The challenge in a midterm campaign is to motivate your base. If she, for any reason, decides she wants to continue to speak in ways that are counter to Trump, if you will, dissonance with Trump, that could affect the Republican Party in the midterm year, could it not?
Yeah, it could. I think, John, more likely, if she's not doing anything this year, that she might be looking at 28. I know that right now J.D. Vance is way ahead in the Republican primaries and polling, but that's not really worth very much. And there is a likelihood that there'll be other people in that race. And so, maybe she is looking at that. And if she's looking at that, is our full frontal assaults on Trump for the next year that might damage the Republican Party helpful to her? Who knows? Maybe she's looking to a career in media, John. Right. Anything is possible here, but I think she's proven herself. And look, I'm deeply critical of many things that she's said and done, but you have to acknowledge that she has made herself a formidable character in our public life, and it seems unlikely that she's going to just fade away.